Hi there. So today I want to explore DropCaps more. I did a tutorial when I first started this channel that showed how to incorporate a DropCap into your Divi design. And what I want to do in this video is show how we can customize the DropCap. So we're going to go ahead and play around a little bit, but these are some of the DropCap styles that we are going to create. Alright, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a post, so that you can do this on a page, a post, it doesn't matter. So what we have here is a text module. So again, I already did a video on how to do the drop cap, but real quick what you'll do is in a text module, you'll do the bracket, you'll put the word drop cap, close the bracket, space over one letter, another bracket, slash drop cap, close the bracket, get it spelled right. We'll close the bracket and we'll get this little funky thing here telling us that there is some code here. So we'll go ahead and save it. So what you'll have just by doing the basics there is you'll have this is what you'll have. You'll have this large letter like this. This is a drop cap. So what we want to do is customize this drop cap. So what we need to do is find out what CSS is Divi using to create this. So we're going to go ahead and right click on it, inspect the element. Now I'm using Microsoft Edge here, but you can do this with Firefox and Safari and Chrome. So we can see here this is the class that it's using, this et-dropcap. So if I come over here, these are all the settings. So we're going to go ahead and just copy these so we have them. So we'll copy the rule. And now I'm just going to use my Divi theme options. Down here where you can add the custom CSS. If you have a child theme, you can come over here to appearance and put it in your theme editor in the style sheet, or you can use the theme customizer here. But again, I'm just going to use options. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste the code that we got. Now we're always going to display it in block, so we don't worry about that. We're always going to float it left, so we don't worry about that. So whenever you customize code, it's going to add to the, you can either add to the code or replace the code. So since we're never going to change those, we're not going to add to them or replace them. So we'll leave them. So here we have the margin. Now if you don't know, margin goes top, right, bottom, left. All right, so just to make a change, just so we can see that, hey, we're customizing it. We have 48 pixels here, which looks like this. So let's just go ahead and just change it to some large number, so 148. So we'll definitely see that change. So we're going to save it. We'll come over here. We're going to refresh it. So you can see we just changed the drop cap size wise. All right. So what I like to do when I do a drop cap is I like to kind of play with it. So let's say we don't want it black, so that we would add a color. So let's say we want it to be red. So we'll just do a red color. So that will give us a red right there. So we'll save the changes. So now we come back here. Our drop cap is now red. So we can also do something like we can add a text shadow to the drop cap. So I did a tutorial on how to add text shadows. So if you're not familiar with that, go ahead and check that video. I will link it in my description. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste the text shadow. So here we have a text shadow. I'm going to change my number back to, let's say, 88. So we'll save that. Come over here. We'll refresh it. So now you see we have a little bit smaller number, but we've added a drop shadow to it. So this is a serif font. Let's say we don't want a serif font. So then we'll come over here. We'll say font, family, sans serif. So serif means it has the little tails on it. So when we sans serif means it doesn't have the tails on it. So those are some of the little things you can do. One of the things I like to do is actually encase it in a box. So we'll put a background color on it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to make the background color this red. So we're going to go ahead and make it red, and then we're just going to make the font white. So now when we change it, hit refresh, we now have a box around it. And then we're going to want to probably add a little bit of padding. So let's just say we'll add, I don't know, we'll try 15 pixels. So we'll save it. We hit refresh. Now we have a little bit of space around our box. Let's say we want to make the corners a little bit round. So let's add just a 10 pixel radius. So this will add 10 pixels to a curvature to all 4 corners. So then we can add a little bit of curvature right there. We can change the font color if we want. Let's make the font color a gold or something. So we'll add a gold color, which I believe that is, and then we'll refresh. And I'm going to go back to having a serif font. So let's get rid of that. Now, one of the things we have on here is line height. So let's go ahead, and we wanted to again, you can play around with this. We could say 0.5 line height. So we just made that much smaller. We could say 0.25. Again, these are just kind of funky looks. I mean, I don't know that I would do this, but that gives you kind of a funkier look for a drop cap. And then if we make the line height even bigger, you'll see it really enlarges it. So I'm just going to keep it at 1. If you're never going to change the line height, you don't even need this on here because that's the original code. But I usually leave it in here because sometimes I will play with the line height. So we have a text shadow on here. What if we want to add a drop shadow to this? So that's a box shadow, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to go ahead and add that there, and we're going to change the word text to box. Again, I also did a tutorial on how to create a box shadow. We're just going to leave it how it is right now. And there we go. We've got a box shadow. Now, one of the things I have on here, I have this as, this is your opacity right here, and I have mine set to 1. So if you wanted it to be a little bit lighter, you could say like 0.5. So we'll save the changes. And you'll see how dark it is here and how dark it is here. So if we lighten it, now we can lighten that. So I'm going to leave this at 1, and then what I want to do, I want to make my drop shadow a little bit grayer, so I'm going to change the values here to 125. So now it's harder to tell, but we've made it a little bit grayer. Let's go 5, 5, and make this 0. So we're going to make this 5, 5, 0. This will change how the drop shadow here is behind the box, so it will get rid of the feather you can see, and it will move it a little bit to the right, a little bit down. And since you can't really see it, let's make this number really stand out so you can kind of see what happens. And that's how you can kind of get the box shadow a little further away. Now, I probably wouldn't do something like that. That doesn't look too good, but that was just for demonstrations purposes. So I'm going to go back to 5 and 5. Another thing that's fun to do is let's get rid of the background color, and let's make a border around it. So we go border, and we'll make the border say 2 pixels. We'll make it solid, and we'll give it that same red color. And we hit save change. Now you've got that's a pretty unique looking drop cap. And then, you know, we can get rid of the border radius because it'll probably look better without a border radius on it. And this is probably too close. So remember here we have the margin. So let's change this margin to 12. That's the right margin right there. So we'll save that. We'll refresh it. And now you'll see there's a little bit more distance there. And again, we can make the font a little bit larger if we want. And we can change the font color to any color we want. So we'll make it red. So there we go. So that's how we can add like different borders and stuff around it. Now if you look at like on my website, my website's a lot more simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace all this. So this is what you'll see as the time I'm doing this video. It may change on my website, which is the green with a little bit of drop shadow behind it like this. So feel free to have fun. So here, let's say you wanted to have an oval. So we'd go border radius 50%. And hit and save the changes, and then we can come back and refresh it. Now we have a nice little oval. And then again, you can play with the drop shadow, move the drop shadow around. And if you don't know how to do box shadows, you can check out my tutorial. So let's make this back to 2, 2, 2, 2, and let's get rid of the gray. And let's give it a little bit of a, whoops. Let's try that, save the changes. Yeah, probably looked better before. All right, so hopefully this gave you some ideas of the different things you can do with the drop cap. You know, you can change the size, the style of the font. You can add text shadows to it. You can add drop shadows to it. You can add borders to it. You can change the margin. You can change the line height. There's just an infinite possibilities of what you can do with the drop cap. So I hope you liked the video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you want more of a write-up on this, you can go to dividude.com. I will be adding a written tutorial that has most of this information on it. All right, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.